Sharon Dagg, welcome to my podcast.
Thanks, mate. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. So Sharon Dagg is your name, but you're better known as Shaz Dagg. Also Limitless.
Yep, for sure.
Yeah, and it's great to have you here. So how long you been Shaz? Is this like a nickname that's followed you around through life?
Yeah, I've been Shaz for a few years now. Just a few mates started calling me that, and it's just sort of stuck, you know. So, yeah, I only get called Sharon now when my mother tells me off. So, yeah, it's just sort of stuck, yeah.
Yeah, I like it. And what about Limitless?
Okay, Limitless. Wow, that was so cool. The team down at the Wellington Limb Centre came up with that one day. They knew what I was sort of going to be starting to get into and what I was going to get up to and try and attempt. And they came up, one day I went down there for an appointment and they came up and said, "We've found a name for you, Shaz." So, yeah, I thought it was pretty cool, actually. Darn cool, eh?
I like it. It's a good play on words.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Hey, by the way, you seem very nervous all of a sudden. I picked you up. I booked you a flight. I picked you up from the airport. I think you called me dumbass about 3 times on the ride into town. Now you seem nervous all of a sudden.
Oh, well, I don't know what you're going to bloody ask me for a starter, Dom, but come on, man.
Well, it's your story, and it's a hell of a story, and I think it's inspirational. And the adversity you've been through, it's something that... One thing I've learned on this podcast, Jenny Shaz, is that everyone, even people that you least expect it from, have some sort of adversity that they're dealing with.
Absolutely.
So when you meet someone like you that's been through a whole lot of stuff, especially at this age and stage of life, like
what are you trying to say about stage and age?
Middle age.
That's all right. You're lucky. You're lucky.
It just lets other people know, well, this shit that I'm dealing with right now, if Sharon can get through this, then I can get through whatever I'm going through. So I think it's really cool.
Yeah.
So you've got nothing to worry about, although there are some very big questions.
Okay.
No, there's not. Okay, so I think to paint a picture of who you are now and what you've been through, we should go right back to the beginning. So tell us about Shaz, like pre-accident. You were quite fit beforehand, eh? You did some events and things?
I used to dabble around, and I loved my sport. Always loved my sport from a young kid. But I used to dabble around in a little bit of running and a little bit of cycling, and that was about it.
Like what sort of distance runs?
Oh, yeah, I'd never done anything more than a 10K or a half marathon, and I was never ever the best or anything like that up there at the top. It was just more about keeping active, and being in with my mates. We were pretty active mates, and just done a lot of stuff together. But yeah, nothing major at all. Yeah.
And in terms of your like personality and mindset, like pre-accident, did you just have that sort of grit and determination?
I don't think it was nowhere near as what it is now. I think it was just go with the flow and have a good time before. Whereas now it's like, you know what, you can do better. And that's what I enjoy about it. This journey is just about doing stuff for me, but hopefully encouraging others. And that's been my motto the whole time, that all I've wanted to do is, if people can see me out there doing it, hopefully it'll give them a bit of encouragement,
Yeah, you sort of think, well, what's my excuse?
Exactly. Hey. Well, hey, if she can do it, that one-winged old chook can do it, there's no reason why I can't. So, yeah, it's more around about that. That was my whole idea of wanting to sort of do these sort of activities, was to try and push awareness that, just because we're challenged doesn't mean to say we can't still succeed. Yeah.
I get the feeling you would have always been a stubborn fucker, though, even pre-accident.
I've been a stubborn bitch all my life. Yeah. Ask my husband for one. He'll tell you that.
Yeah, you can't be that stubborn though. He's stuck around. You haven't scared him off.
Look, honestly, I would not have been able to do half of what I've done if it wasn't for Owen. He's a pretty cool, supportive dude.
Yeah.
Very, very lucky to have him by my side. Yeah.
By the way, from our dealings, getting this podcast off the ground, you're one of those nauseating couples that have a joined email address.
Yeah, I know, right? I mean, it was, back in the day when you first got your email, everybody says, "What do you do?" "Oh, you just put your names down." So it was like Owen and Sharon, and it's like, wish now I could change it to Owen and Shaz, or, but that's what you've done. Everybody done it, and we've never changed it.
No, I like that. I like that. And what about even earlier? Speaking of your, pre-accident and your stubbornness, I heard one podcast you did, and did you have like a falling out with your parents and you got shipped off to family farm or something?
I did.
Were you
I was a bitch, mate, to my
parents. Were you a real
parents.
piece of work?
Yeah, I was. I was a real bitch.
Oh,
I gave my parents a hard time.
In what way? Was it fairly standard sort of teenage stuff?
Yeah, I was a bit of a rebellion and bit of trouble, got myself into a bit of trouble and that, but I was, so lucky I had an auntie and uncle in the Manawatu that lived on a farm, and they said, Shaz, come and live with us, and I've never looked back.
Yeah, so you were sort of born and raised in Taupo area,
Yeah,
and
for
then shipped to the family farm near Ohakia.
That's
the air
correct.
base.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Jesus, you've done your homework.
Yeah, I have. I picked up on this because I've never heard you elaborate on it.
Yeah.
What sort of age? Like 14, 15?
Yeah, I was about 15. Yeah. So
So real chance of you going off the rails at that point.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And that's when my auntie and uncle came along, and best thing that could have ever happened to me, just being down on the farm, out in the open, learning different stuff, just working on the farm. Absolutely loved it. Changed my life for the right direction. Yeah.
So you look back now as a woman in your late 50s. What do you think of the teenage you? Just like harmless fun with your friends, or
Yeah, it was a bit, and then I went to that extra extreme of doing a bit of stealing and paying the consequences. Which was good, because being caught, obviously it sets you on the straight and narrow. It gives you a friggin' good fright. I was a bitch. I was an absolute bloody... I was a right madam, eh?
But you say that now, and it's like you obviously had... you're obviously a good person yourself, and you obviously had like good... family networks and supports. You think of like the Ram Raiders and the crimes that are going on now at the same sort of age, that youth level. And the police take them back home, and the families, for the most part, don't care.
I had a great, family network around me once I got down here to the Manawatu. I'm the middle child, the black sheep, shall we say, obviously. And, I've got a older brother, and they're a couple of years older than me. He's done extremely well in life. I've got a younger sister. She's done extremely well in life, but I've sort of done nothing to their,
Well, what have they done?
My brother's got an amazing super upholstery business over in Australia that he started. My sister's done extremely well in the nursing sector, and she's doing extremely well, and I'm proud of them both, don't get me wrong. But we don't have a close relationship. I just sort of stay clear and just do my own thing. I just find it's easier to be me.
Yeah. So you're not particularly close with your family. Is that like a result of like your misadventure as a teenager?
No, I think it's more my choice. Different things have happened over the years, and it's just like, I'm sick and fucking tired of my parents not listening or believe. I felt that they didn't believe in me, so it was just easier just to pull away, live my own life. And you know what? It's been great. It's been absolutely fantastic. I mean, I still have contact with my mother. She's in a rest home at the moment, going through a real hard time with the old cancer stuff. Once a month we try and get up there to Taupo and see her, and I just saw her last week. We always make a point of popping in.
How old is she now? Like 80-ish?
Yeah, she must be 80, 85-ish now.
Right,
I don't sort of keep track, I don't like to think of the years, because we're only as old as we feel, aren't we? And I feel like I'm 21, not bloody, 57. So, but we keep in contact. Yeah.
Okay, for some comparison, what are words that people would have used to describe you before losing your arm and now after?
I don't really know. Probably just, pig-headed. Stubborn.
Yeah, it's just before and after, same word. Yeah, it's quite funny, because it's I've been reading a book about this, and I reckon, and I've thought about this a lot with different people I've had on the podcast, famous people and non-famous people, but there's two sort of mindsets. You have like a fixed mindset or a growth mindset, and you can go from having a fixed mindset and change that to a growth mindset at any time. So say you pre-accident, if you had a fixed mindset, you can lose your arm and then change it to a growth mindset. But if you've had a growth mindset all along and then something like this happens, you're probably going to have a growth mindset afterwards as well.
Yeah, for sure. I agree. I think I've more got the growth now.
Yeah. But it's always sort of been there or no?
I think it probably has, Dom.
Yeah.
Yeah, to be honest, it probably has, but I've never really thought about it until, you've just sort of said it. You're probably right, so I think I have got the growth, now. I just
Or
want
you
growth.
definitely do now, the 100%, there's no question about it.
And I think you're right, I have changed. The mindset has changed for sure. But yeah, and like you say, I hadn't even thought about it, Dom, in that way until you've mentioned it.
So December 2016, that's when the accident happened with the farm gate. So that's, how old were you at the time? Like 50?
Must have been 51, 52. It must have been 52. Yeah. Just a freak accident, mate. Yeah.
Yeah, what was this something to do with a gate on a goat farm?
Yeah. So I've got a mate that started a goat farm down in the Manawatu. And they had 900 goats, housed in this big, awesome shed. And she asked me if I'd like to come along and do farming for a while. So I was like, I would like to give this a go.
Growth mindset.
Yeah.
David, if you had a fixed mindset, you wouldn't have been there that day.
So, I jumped at the chance. And just one particular day, there's these big deer fence gates and they're covered in corrugated iron. Now, the reasoning behind that is to keep the weather out of the animals that are housed inside this shed.
Okay, so it's not to keep the animals in, it's just to keep them safe and dry, comfortable.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Yep. So keeping their housing and that dry. So, in this particular day, I was closing this gate ready for milking, and just a freak gust of wind, mate, just picked me up and the gate and slammed me against a post. A big deer fence post.
Wait, what are your recollections of that? Did it happen in slow motion or it just happened so quick?
It happened so bloody quick.
Yeah, like a matter of seconds.
Yeah,
Split
absolutely.
second. Yeah.
It was, to lift me and my fat ass off the ground, it had to be a pretty good, gust of wind. So, it just slammed me there. And I ended up on the ground. Obviously, the gate slammed and then reopened, and I just landed on the ground. And I looked at my arm, and it was just bent in like an L shape. Unbelievable.
Like blood coming out, or had it slashed it, or just bones everywhere?
Just completely, like this here was just in a V. So imagine that. Both bones were just snapped completely in half, mate.
But the bones weren't poking out of the skin, or...
No. You don't have to get that bloody gruesome, man.
I just want to paint a picture of what you went through here.
So
you're so adrenaline kick. Are you in pain, or are you just...
I think the adrenaline had kicked in by then, so no, I wasn't in pain. But I had this small nick on my knee, obviously from a bit of corrugated iron. I just sort of got a nick. Well, that was more bloody painful, mate. Seriously. It was so painful. I don't know what was going on. I don't know whether the pain had transferred down to here, but it was just bizarre. So away we went to the hospital. Get to the hospital, get to A&E, and the guys, they were great there. They took one look and they said, yep, well, we don't really need to send you for an x-ray, Shaz. We can see what's going on. So they took me into a room, knocked me out for 5 minutes and realigned it and stuck me in a temporary cast. And I can remember the doctor in there saying to me, you'll need to go to surgery tonight, Shaz, to get it plated and pinned. Just couple of plates and a couple of pins on each side, just a normal 6 to 8 week recovery. And I'm like, yep, can handle that.
So you're feeling okay? You're feeling pretty good about it? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm like, okay, surgery tonight, that's fine. He said, because if you don't go to surgery tonight, Shaz, he said there's going to be some serious complications. Unfortunately, I didn't go to surgery that night.
And were you, after being told that, were you... I don't know. Like, were you sort of... I mean, it's easy to have this line of questioning and have this conversation with the benefit of hindsight, but were you sort of like, pushing it yourself and saying, hey, listen, I need to get to surgery. I got told I need the surgeon.
At that stage, no, because they told me that I'd go that night.
Okay.
So, I was reassured that, it was going to happen that night. So I was like, okay. So you just go with it, right?
Oh, yeah, well, they're the experts.
Yeah, you just roll with it. So I'm like, okay. Get that night at about 7 o'clock. They come and tell me that, no, I was going to be bumped again. This went on for 5 days, mate. 5 friggin' days.
See, again, we've got the benefit of hindsight here, but if it was me, I think if I was told you need to get to surgery ASAP or else there's going to be complications, I'd like to think I'd be like aggressively pursuing it and pushing it and following up.
I think I was.
Yeah.
But obviously you're in a lot of pain. The reason why I was in a lot of pain was because I could see my fingers were starting to swell. My hand was starting to go black, and the pain was starting to get quite intense. So that's when I sort of got pretty, let's say, forceful, and I'd say to the nurses... So
this is day...
This is day about 3 and a half.
Yeah.
And I'm saying, look, I really need to see somebody here. And of course the nurses had come in. Oh, we'll give you some more Panadol, Shaz, In the end, I did. Day 5, I said, this is bullshit. I'm in pain. I want to see somebody. I want a doctor in here today. I need to see. I said, have a look at my hand. And by that stage, you could see my knuckles, my fingers were going black. So I didn't know what the rest of the arm was like.
So you were sort of starting to panic?
Well, I wasn't starting to panic.
No.
I was in pain.
Okay.
I was in severe pain.
Right.
Because don't forget, I'm still in a temporary cast. So a lot of the swelling couldn't swell. So anyway, the surgeon came in, and I can remember it. It's just like he walked through that door, and I'm in a bed here like this, sitting up. And he just walked in the door, and my arm was obviously sitting here. And he just said, get her to surgery now. And I can remember, mate, I was rushed out of that room and down to surgery. So I had surgery thinking that I was going to come out of that and I'd just be, of 4 plates, 2 plates on each bone and screws in each bones. When I came to, the surgeon was actually standing by my bed, and me and my big mouth, I said, what's going on? Have you cut me fucking arm off? Wow. He says, no, Shaz, we haven't. But he said, I need to inform you, we've had to do a fasciotomy.
What's that?
Exactly. I said, speak to me in English. So a fasciotomy, because I couldn't see my arm. It was all bandaged up.
Right.
I had no idea what it was looking like. So a fasciotomy was, they cut right down the inside of my arm, cross my hand, cross this side of my hand, and all the way back up this side. Now, the reasoning of that was it's to release the pressure because it had swollen so much. It was severely swollen. So from there, every second day I went back to theatre and they stitched up segments about this big each time. So I had 9 surgeries in 11 days. On the 11th day, this young intern came in to my room and he says, I'm just going to have a look at you. Check your arm, Shaz. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's fine. Didn't warn me about what the hell my arm was going to look like or what I was about to see. He took all the bandages off and the dressing off, and I don't know if you've seen any photos, Dom, but
no, I haven't.
But there was this gaping hole in my arm, so this massive hole here.
Now, some people will be watching this on YouTube. Most people will be listening to it. Look, what sort of size? Anything you can compare it to in terms of size?
Probably the size of a tennis ball.
Okay. Oh shit.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So and as round as a tennis ball. So
whereabouts? Like on the on the
here,
forearm.
Yeah, just
on
in
the
here
wrist
where
area.
they were trying to close up. And that was, and I looked and I was like, holy shit balls, And then I looked and I said to him, oh, is that a bit of gorse? And he goes, no, that's your tendon. I'm like, fuck, I'm sitting there for the first time seeing my arm and here's this massive hole.
I mean, they would make you queasy looking at it on someone else's arm. Looking at it on your own arm, are you panicking at that point?
I wasn't panicking. I was sort of like, to be honest, I was probably sort of steering away from it, at this point. And I said to him, why the hell have I still got that hole there? And he says, oh, we can't close that, Shaz. We tried to close it. And when you woke up last time, you were in so much pain. Can't you remember? And I says, no. And he says, no, we had to rush you back into theatre and take those stitches out. We can't close it. It's too, he's still too swollen. So from there, they sent me down to Hutt Hospital in Wellington to the plastics unit where they removed a bit of my backside. Not that you can notice. And
like a skin graft.
Yep.
Yeah.
And stuck it in, slapped them in there, and that was going to be what my arm was going to look like. So from there I went home. Good old recovery, best recovery, in bed, sleep, You know, let's be honest, sleep is our best recovery.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. So when you leave the hospital, by the way, that's a lot. It's a lot to go through. Like how many operations? Like
so
9.
I had probably 11 operations,
Right.
all up in 14 days.
Yeah, that takes it out of you.
It does, yeah.
But you were sent home. So you've had all these surgeries, all the stress of this and the skin graft as well. And you're sent home and you think you're just going to recover and it's going to be good, all good.
Just
That's
honestly,
what you led to
I
believe.
was sent home and I thought, yep, my arm's going to, this is a recovery stage now.
Yeah.
We're starting the 6 to 8 week recovery. But when I left Hut Hospital, they made another appointment for me to come back so that they could check the skin graft, obviously. So yeah, about a month later, went back down there once again, took all the dressings off, and it was the first time I got to see my arm. I probably should have bought you some photos, Dom. It's on the phone. I can easily show you.
No, thanks.
They're pretty gruesome,
Yeah.
you know. It'd show whether you're a man or a mouse, you know.
Oh, I'm a mouse. No, I might get some off you for my video guy. You
Yeah,
might want
yeah,
them.
for sure. So yeah, it was the first time I got to see my arm. Yeah, not pretty. So I was scarred all the way down here. Had this massive, you know, skin grafting in here. Which in a month's time, the skin grafting had shrunk down and it was looking okay.
So what do you reckon? Did it look like an arm that had been like chewed by a dog or something? Would you say? Or
Yeah, a shark.
a shark, right?
Yeah,
right.
yeah, just.
And so when you see that, do you? What's your initial reaction? Like, do you break down and cry? Like you?
No, what's the point of crying? You know, it's only spilled water. You know, you look at it and yeah, you're disappointed. I didn't realise the extent of my injuries or the hospitals. Let's put it this way: I didn't realise the extent of the hospital's fuck up. Because this should not have happened.
Are you frustrated at that point? I know you're not a person that likes to look back in anger, but take you back to that moment.
Honestly, I'm not frustrated. I'm more. All I wanted to do was put my energy and my time into my recovery. What's the point of feeling anger? You know, and boiling yourself up, it's not going to benefit you at all. So
no, but if it was me, I'm probably projecting here. I'd be fucking infuriated.
Well, you know, at that point, it hadn't really hit me, Dom.
Okay.
It really hadn't hit me as to what I was going to be left with, what sort of arm I was going to have.
Okay, so this stage, your arm's a mess, but you think it's going to be fine.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, totally. Thinking that I was still going to have the use of an arm, and I was going to have, you know, my other arm, my left arm. So yeah, as rehab sort of continued on, the scars, they didn't really improve. The hole that was in there from my skin graft, yeah, it was there. It wasn't pretty, you know. I mean, I'm not a cosmetic chick by any means. Take a look at me. You know, fuck, I don't buy that shit, you know. I was born this way. Why try and spend thousands of dollars trying to cover it up? So, you know, the cosmetic sort of side of things didn't really worry me. But when I saw this, it did start to get to me that, you know, this isn't good. Because in the end, I used to just have my arm sitting here like this, trying to protect it, because it was useless.
Yeah,
it was freaking useless.
For anyone that's listening to this, imagine, so Shaz is missing her left arm now, but you held it like it was in an invisible sling.
Yep,
yeah,
for sure.
Up against the body.
Yeah,
okay.
Perfect. So I just hold it there and just try and protect it. And in the end, you know, it was useless, mate. I had a name for it. You ready for
I've
this?
heard you say this in a couple of podcasts. Yeah, cock in a sock.
I used to call it my cock in a sock.
Yeah, what does that mean?
Well, it was just fucking useless. You males will understand that, you know, at times, you know, and that's why I used to call it that. It was just useless because it was in like a bandage and it was just, it just used to hang. It used to flop. So that was my name for it. You know, I was trying to make light of the situation and, you know, different things, and that was a way of calling it something ridiculous and having a bit of fun with it. But yeah, in the end, it just became redundant. I lost all muscle mass and it was just redundant.
Just there. But did you still have like your grip strength in your wrist and your hand? Okay, so...
I lost everything, mate.
Okay, so it was literally like redundant. It was...
Yeah.
Okay, but I'm thinking about things, and we can get to this later, like things that you do now that, you know, people with both hands and both arms would take for granted, like doing up buttons on your shirt, for example.
Yeah.
Could you use your left hand when you had that post-accident? No, okay.
No, I couldn't do.
So it was just sort of ornamental.
Oh, it was.
Okay.
And it was an ugly ornamental.
Okay.
You know, it wasn't a nice thing to have sitting there. But, you know, I still carried on with my life. I still went out and done things, but it got to a point where I could see that possibly I could go into a different spiral.
What do you mean?
I could have gone down this path of anger.
Yeah.
And being grumpy and being annoyed and getting frustrated. And I didn't want to go down that path, Dom. I really, really didn't want to go down that path. I could see how easy it would be for somebody to spiral on a downward path. So I had to make a decision. And it had to be my decision. Couldn't be anybody else's. So I thought, you know, I want to move on with my life. I don't want to be stuck in this position where, you know, I could get in a situation that I didn't want to be.
Negative headspace. And,
yeah. So I wanted to move forward with my life. So I had to make a decision and make so it was. I came up with this most radical, stupid decision, and it just, you know, it just felt right.
I don't know. You say a radical, stupid decision. I know you're doing that, say that tongue in cheek, but it feels like it was probably the sensible, or even the only decision to make. Yeah or no?
Yeah, I mean, you know, some people wouldn't go to that extreme. You know, it was pretty extreme, this decision. You know, when I threw it at my husband, whoa, mate.
Yeah.
Nah.
So you guys been married like 30 odd years?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he's my best mate. He's my best mate.
And he's got you. You know,
he's got my back, mate.
Yeah, there's no agenda whatsoever at that point.
He's got my back, and so, you know, I threw this idea, and, you know, I came up with how am I going to approach this with him? You know, because it's a big thing, you know. So one day I just said to him, "Can we sit down and have a talk?" And I just said to him, "I've made a decision, and I hope you'll support me." But I said I want it off, and he was no. Not at all.
Was it why? Why was that his initial?
I don't know. It was, you know,
because he must have had. So this was the amputation was 2018. So it's like a couple of years of you recovering or trying to recover or dealing with this useless limb that you called a cock and a sock. Why was that his initial reaction? It must have been something that occurred to him over that time.
Well, no, I don't think it had. I think. I don't know whether it was because he thought it may improve over time.
I suppose you always hold out hope, eh?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
We all do, don't we?
Of course.
We all hope that, you know, it's going to be for the better. But I knew that wasn't going to be for the better. So I wanted to make it for the better. And the only way for me to make it better was to, remove it. Cut the bugger off. Get rid of it. Feed it to the flaming dogs. You know,
the dogs are like, we don't want that. It looks like a shark's already had a go at it. Okay, so Owen's initial reaction is no.
Yeah.
Does that come from a place of like love or concern for you, or?
I honestly believe it was because, you know, he loves me.
Yeah.
And he was looking out for me, but you know, so I had to sort of coax it around a bit. You know, I did have to coax him around. In the end, I just said to him, "Look, it's my life, it's my body, and this is what I want to do." And I said, "I hope you support me," and he did. You know, obviously, he came round and he knew that, you know, over time, I think he thought about it, and he knew that it was the right thing for me to do.
Did you guys come up with like a list of pros and cons or anything? Or
No, you know, I actually spoke to one of my mates and said that, because I didn't talk to a lot of people about it. Because I knew that'd all be, you know, no, you can't have that, Shaz. And I didn't want all those negative reactions. But I did speak to one mate and she said, "Shaz, what you should try doing is tying your hand behind your back for a week and see how you go." And I thought, nah, if I'm doing this, I'm going in boots and all. It's just going to happen. And you just got to deal with it then, don't you? You know?
Yeah, but there's no reversal.
Oh, absolutely not. But I mean, you just got to deal with it.
Oh, no, wait a minute. I've decided I want the useless arm back. Yeah.
I found a surgeon.
Did you need to did they make you undergo any compulsory counselling or anything like that?
Yeah, I had to do a couple of sessions. Oh, shit, that's a lot of crap, isn't it? You know?
Well, it's easy. I mean, Yeah, I had the same sort of thing. Mandatory, very, very different situation, but mandatory counselling when me and JJ, my wife at the time,
Right.
were undergoing fertility stuff,
Yep.
and we were about to use a mate's sperm, donor sperm,
Yep.
and you have like mandatory counselling, but it's easy to say the answers that you know you should say.
For sure.
It's very easy to fool them, I think.
I just felt like I was just doing a recording.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it was yes, no, yeah, nah, yeah, I suppose so. You know, it was, yeah, like you say, I think it's very easy to fool them. Not that I was out there to do that, Dom, not at all.
No, and I'm exactly the same, and it's one of those things. God, it feels
It's
like
a
I'm trying
process
to.
we have to go through.
Yeah, and like with my situation, which is very different to yours, with the donor sperm thing. Like I had a couple of years leading up to that where it's like this may be a path we have to go down. So you
Yep.
have time to think about it. Same with you, I guess.
Yep.
You had a lot of time to think about.
Well, I didn't really because, you know, it happened in December 16, the accident. So I only had that 12 months, you know, that from recovering to making a decision to getting it removed.
Yeah.
Honestly, you know, I must have had red flags by my name because you don't just go into a surgeon and say that you want to remove a part of your body and next minute you're getting it done. So I think they sort of knew that that fucked up basically, and you know, okay, if this is what she wants, so let's make this happen for her. Plus, I think my surgeon, he was fantastic. I still have a great relationship with him now. He's done my knees, so he's seen quite a bit of my body, you know, and he's always helped me now.
Yeah.
He's made things happen for me. So anyway, I saw him and he put me on to Prof Thurston, a professor down in Wellington who was obviously the man for amputations. So I contacted him and we had a few emails back and forth, and then next minute I get this email saying, let's make it happen. So we did. From there it just evolved.
So what's that process? Like, do you discuss where it's going to be cut off, or?
So we talked about it and discussed it, and because I was cut right up here, right up to my elbow basically, and it was a bit of a mess, he said, we can do a below elbow, Shaz, but he said, I would suggest we go above elbow.
So below elbow would make it easier in terms of like prosthetic
Prosthetics
limbs and
things.
okay, yeah.
And if you see a lot of arm amputees, a lot of them are below elbow. There's not many of us that are above elbow, so we're the special ones, obviously. So we went. So he amputated it just above the elbow here.
Yeah.
So it was, as you can see, it's a lot shorter now than what it was when we first done it. But then after he amputated, we had complications. And not only do I have severe phantom pain, I have this thing called CRIPS, which is complex regional pain syndrome. And like I said to you a bit earlier when we were talking, it's like if you've ever peed on an electric fence, you know what it's like. You know, you get that full instant jarring and that shocking. Well, that's what I have.
When does that is that sporadically or occasionally?
No,
or like
it's all the time.
Really?
It's permanently. So
it constantly sort of feels like
yeah.
you're being tattooed, say.
Yeah.
What do you take for that?
So I don't take. I instantly got off the tramadol and the Sevrodol and all that sort of stuff, and then I've had some super support people around me, and we've tried different things. Have been in contact with a pain specialist, Dr. Mour up here, and we've been dealing with him and my people down in Palmy. And we've tried different medications, obviously.
I'm just trying to get my head around something. So post accident, but pre-amputation, were you in pain? You had this useless arm.
I had discomfort.
Right.
Had discomfort, but I wouldn't call it pain. And then once we amputated it, obviously the nerves didn't agree with that. Because don't forget, it was a massive trauma of being smashed and broken. You've got both bones completely broken in half, snapped in half. So it's a massive trauma. It's not like just a break that a kid has in the playground, from falling out of a tree.
Yeah.
This was severe in their terms. So that trauma on its own has fired the nerves from instantly from that trauma. So once we had it amputated, it's obviously elevated that pain and the nerve endings. So so we've had 2 further amputations since then, where I've had an awesome surgeon down at Hutt Hospital, Dr. Bisson. He really looked after me and tried different things. So we went back to surgery another time. This is a couple of years later, and what he done was he shortened it. He obviously opened up Stumpy, found the nerves, stretched them, seared them, and then he let them go, hoping that the nerve endings would end up somewhere back up here, so that there'd be no pressure or nerve endings down here where I was getting all the pain. So we were hoping that was going to happen and eliminate the pain. Unfortunately, it didn't. So about a year, maybe 18 months later, he tried to have another go, and we went through this whole process of he had this brainwave of and this idea that he had to take to a panel to get it approved first to go ahead and do this. So I still didn't know if I was going to have this 3rd amputation or not.
So they're just like going higher and
yeah.
Oh God.
So we got the go ahead and the approval to do this 3rd amputation, and what he done then was once again he opened up Stumpy, found those nerve endings which had neuromas growing on the end of them, which was causing the pain. So he stretched them, he cut them, and then removed those neuromas, and then he seared them again, the nerve endings, and then what he done was he drilled straight through my bone, and he's inserted the nerve endings into my bone, so that if the neuromas grow back again, hopefully it won't penetrate through the bone. And that was, he said to me, Shaz, this is the last thing I can think of doing for you. So, I've had some awesome team behind me trying to help me as much as possible with this pain. Unfortunately, it hasn't worked. So we're still in pain. So Stumpy's still a prick.
Yeah, I've heard you refer to it as Stumpy in a couple of podcasts that I've listened to. And why did you decide to name it? When did that happen? Did that happen pre the amputation?
No,
or?
So I honestly, when I first had the amputation, the day of the surgery, I woke up and I looked down and here was this big, fat, bandaged stump. And I just looked down and I had the biggest smile on my face, Dom. And I just looked down and I said, welcome to Shaz's world, Stumpy. And it's just stuck, and honestly, it was the best decision of my life. Yeah. Absolutely best decision of my life, mate.
Yeah, the Stumpy thing, the thing I like about that is, rather than like mourning what you're losing and talking about losing your arm, you talk about gaining something new.
Oh, absolutely.
I don't know if that was subconscious or an intentional thing, but it's a way of framing it that
it was just like, this is the start of a new journey. This is going to be an awesome journey. And I just wanted it to be a great journey. Yeah. I wanted it to be a whole new journey. Stumpy and I were starting over, and it was a new beginning. And like I say, the best friggin' decision of my life, mate.
Stumpy and Shaz on tour sounds like some sort of weird comedy movie that you'd see in Video Easy back in the day. So you just go back to like the day of or the day before the amputation, like so you're in hospital getting prepped up, and maybe you've got the vivid marker drawn on your arm. Do you have like a mourning moment to yourself?
Well,
like
it's
a
funny
moment
you
of grief,
say that,
or?
Dom. That's a really good question, and it's funny, and I forget about bringing this up, but the morning of the surgery, my surgeon says, right, Shaz, have you thought about what you'd like to do with your limb once I remove it?
Oh, whether you want it back or collect it.
And I'm like, oh, shit, no, I've got no idea. And he goes, well, some people like to have it returned and they keep it in the freezer, and so that when they pass, eventually they feel like they're a whole person. And I hadn't even thought about any of this, Dom, you know. And he says, some, you know, get it cremated and keep it for the same reason. You know, there's religious reasons.
Well, I suppose in a way, a lot of people would see it as like a part of you,
Absolutely.
dying. Like it's the old you.
Yeah. And he says, you know, what would you like done? He said, or you can give it to medical science. And of course, my natural reaction and my first reaction was not thinking what my mouth was about to say, but I said, feed it to the fucking dogs. And he just looked at me, you know, he's this, you know, nearly retired gentleman, and he just looked at me, and a couple of the nurses laughed, you know, and then I said, oh, sorry, you know, and I said, because I just wanted it gone, you know, it was no good to me. I didn't want the bloody thing back, you know, it was my decision to get rid of it, so why the hell would I want it back, you know? So I just said, give it to medical science. I said, hopefully this will prevent somebody else going through what I've gone through. So what they done with it, I got no idea, Dom, and I don't care. I really don't care. Yeah.
See, I'm probably pettier than you. I think I've just been thinking the last couple of minutes what I'd do with it, and I probably would have got it back and then sent it to the fuckers in Palmerston North Hospital that fucked it up in the first place by messing around for 5 days.
Yeah, well, you know, I have thought of that sometimes.
Because there's no accountability on that end, is there?
No accountability whatsoever. And what chance do you have of any accountability when you know?
Yeah, and what you're doing and saying is exactly the right thing. Like, there's no use wasting 5 years, 7 years, 10 years of your life collecting folders of court documents, going through the system for, what, maybe $100,000 at the end of it, a couple of $100,000.
Honestly, like, you know, and that's what I said to people. Look, it's not about the money. It's about moving forward.
Yeah.
But you can see where people and how people think. And, you know, if I don't want that anger and that negativity and that frustration.
Even someone saying sorry, like, what's it going to change?
Oh, mate, you know, you might get a letter with a scribbled signature at the bottom of it. What the fuck does that mean? You know, what does that give you?
Yeah.
It doesn't give you any, you know, closure. My closure is just the beginning of the opening of my new journey. You know, that's my closure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you're in that hospital bed recovering and the hours or the days after it, is it emotional or are you just happy?
No, I'm happy, mate.
Yeah.
I was ecstatic. Yeah, I just wanted to get out of there, move on. I went through a fair bit of pain. That's where the pain obviously started after the amputation, and I went through a fair bit of pain. And they moved.
Did they warn you about that? Did they warn you it could be painful? Because you sort of think you've got this useless limb, you get it chopped off, and everything's going to be better.
Yeah. They said that there can be side effects, like anything, Dom.
Yeah.
You know, there's always a side effect. And you know, normally it's phantom pain, which you can treat by doing mirror therapy and doing a whole lot of different therapy.
Yeah. Describe that to us. Phantom pain.
So my arm is still sitting here. That's because that's where the brain last remembers it before it was removed. So my arm is still sitting there. I can't, because of my severe phantom pain, I can't actually open my hand like I'm doing with this one. So like, I'm going to try opening my hand here.
Your left hand, you took.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you'll see me trying to open it. You watch here.
Oh, shit.
That's me trying to open my hand. Weird, eh? Bizarre.
Wow, like the muscles firing in your left bicep.
Yeah, but it's trying to open my hand. Weird, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny how the brain associates things. So I have this pain and I deal with it, but I don't make it my issue.
What do you mean?
I don't make it my issue that I've got pain, because...
What do you mean you don't make it your issue?
Well, I don't want to make it my life.
Right, okay.
You
You don't want it to define you, sort of thing.
No, not at all.
So you just... You mean you don't make it your issue, you don't make it other people's issues?
Well, both.
Right.
You know, I don't want it to drag me down. I don't want to go into that position. So think positive, you know, move forward. You know, so that's where, I turn back to my sport.
Yeah, so you get back home. How long is the sort of recovery?
It's quite a while. Yeah, quite a while.
And this must have been a frustrating time with lots of tears. Because I'm thinking about things that, like I mentioned before, like you're wearing a button-up shirt today. I don't know how you do the buttons up.
It's just pretty, Yeah.
Take a while to do it with one hand?
I probably won't be able to do it now because,
No, but you've got a shirt on, so you've obviously done it, or Owen's helped you. Okay, other stuff. Tying shoelaces.
Mate, come on, think about it. Elastic. I haven't got them on today, but, I've got shoes like what you wear, and I just wear the laces slightly less loose.
Okay, so you slide them on and off. Okay.
There you go, there's my button done.
Okay, plugging in a phone charger.
Easy.
How do you do that with them?
Try it. Dom, come on, man. Try it.
Okay, I'm sorry. I thought I was asking some good questions here.
Try
it. Okay. No, seriously, how do you plug in your phone charger with one?
I just get my phone. I'll either stand it upright and put the charger in,
right,
or I'll use the bench and put it towards the end of the bench and push it in. You find a way to do everything, Dom, seriously.
Humans are adaptable, eh?
Oh, look, mate, I honestly didn't. And this was part of my new journey that I wanted to embrace, having these challenges. I think you guys are the most boringest buggers out because you just get up and do the same things every day.
You guys as in who?
You guys, everybody else.
With two arms?
Yeah.
Excuse me, that was you for the first 55 years of your life. Don't be so smug.
Now, I have the best challenges every day.
Yeah.
I come across challenges every day and I flame and love it, because I have to work it out. I can take the easy way. Like, when I first came out, the rehab would bring around all these different things, This is the board that will help you butter your toast, Shaz. You put this on here with these steel prongs, like nails upside down.
To hold the toast
hold the toast and do all this. Mate, that's all in the wardrobe. If anything, I've probably given it to other people now. I've never ever wanted to use anything like that. I've just wanted to find my way, I've done my button up and I've undone it again now because it's too bloody hot. But, I've just wanted to find things to do my way. And I have. And that's what I say. I have these challenges every day. Love them. Love them. I still get out. I mow the lawns. I still hang the washing on the line. My husband, Owen, was so great. Don't get me wrong. He was amazing. But I had to say to him in the end, because he was always wanting to help me, and I'd have to say, hey, can you please stop? I want to do these. If I need help, I will ask you. But he was only doing it, Dom, because he loves me and he was trying to help me. And I was probably a bitch by saying that to him. But it was because I wanted not to rely on anyone.
You wanted that independence?
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
You well up when you talk about Owen, don't you?
Because he's been such a great rock for me, Like I say, he stood by me and supported me with everything, and even now.
But come on, what do you expect him to do? You're with someone for a quarter of a century and then they have a freak accident and lose an arm. He'd be a piece of shit if he walked out at that point.
Well, if he did, he'd be called a fair few things, I can tell you. But, I know he'd never do that.
Yeah.
He's just...
He loves you.
He's my best mate. He's my other half. Literally. I feel like he's my other half. He's there all the time. We still have the odd little bloody tiff, like every married couple does, but on a whole, we're 110%.
Yeah. That's great.
Yeah.
So you get back home and you're recovering and you're adapting to life, and I guess you're still adapting to life now, like with day-to-day challenges that pop up. But when do you get the idea to embark on a sporting career?
Well, like I say, I've always dabbled in some sports, so it was about, okay, where do we go from here? And I thought, I want to make this a new journey. So I thought, let's do something radical. Some people might call it stupid, Dom, but I thought, let's find a sport and do something. So instead of just aiming for something small, I thought, I'm going to aim for something big. So I thought, right, I'm going to try to get into a New Zealand team in a sport that would have to challenge me. So like I said before, I've dabbled in a bit of running and I've dabbled in a bit of cycling, but I hate swimming with a passion. Absolutely loathe it. So I thought probably for one, because I have to keep my mouth shut too, eh? So, so I thought, let's try triathlon. So, you know, there was all these things and these challenges, and I knew swimming was going to be my challenge, obviously. You know, I didn't know if I was going to sink, swim, or go in circles, mate. You know, so I just jumped into that challenge. So literally a month to the day of having Stumpy removed, we went to Hawke's Bay. I didn't want to do it at home. I wanted to be out of my surroundings and just be somewhere where I felt that nobody was looking.
Why?
Because it was the first time I was going to be in public and be exposed. You know, for one, woman and togs, you know, it's not something we like to do, let alone with half a wing, right?
But for anyone that's listening to this that doesn't know that area of New Zealand, like, you're talking like a 2-hour road trip. That's like from Fielding to Hawke's Bay. Yeah, it's a couple of hours. It's a
totally.
long way to go for half an hour in the pool.
But I knew there was a good pool there, and I knew it was going to be quiet at that sort of time. So so away we trudged, and we decided it was going to be for a weekend away as well. You know?
Okay.
So away we trudged, and Owen comes into the pool with me. I stripped down, I got my goggles, and I hopped in the pool, and I was like, how the frig am I going to put these bloody goggles on? There was another new challenge straight away. See what I mean?
Hundreds of things like that every day that you wouldn't even...
So the first thing I done was I got my goggles, I stuck the strap over my nose, and I pulled it back, and I looked like Miss Piggy with my nose in the flaming ear. But I pulled the strap back, and then I was able to adjust my goggles.
Yeah.
And it was like, there's a challenge. Who else has tried to do that? You know, and I overcame that challenge. So the next thing was to see if we could swim. Now, I had no flaming idea, Dom, how I was going to go. Had no idea. Had no idea how Stumpy was going to react to being put in water.
Yeah, I'm just trying to... Yeah.
You know, all these things that people probably just take for granted, but it was all new for me. And hence why I wanted to be in a surroundings where nobody knew me, so that I could just give it a go. If I floundered, if I sunk, if I went in circles, nobody was going to see me that I knew. So, I said to Owen, film this. This is going to be interesting. So he got my camera ready, and away I went. I just instantly went under the water, pushed off the edge, propelled my right arm over, and I propelled forward, threw Stumpy over, and I felt like I went flaming nowhere because there was nothing there to pull back, you know. But I just kept swimming with this arm. And
so were you going straight, or were you sort of veering?
Well,
Yeah, you were going straight.
I didn't feel like I was, but when I watched the video, because I concentrated on that bloody black line, you know, that's always in the pool. And so obviously my core was doing a bit of work, but we got to the other end, mate, and I just came out from under that water, and once again it was just a massive smile. It was like, yes, you know, I've done that. So yes, here comes the journey. I know I can swim. Where do we go from here? How do I improve? How do I include these 3 disciplines into one to make this journey happen? And that's where it started, Dom. That's exactly where it started. Exactly a month to the day after meeting Stumpy.
How you guys have got kids, eh? How old are your kids?
Owen's got kids, and I've got one. The younger, 34 now. Right. So they're all growing up. So they're all gone. You know.
What do they make of everything?
Honestly, they don't treat me any different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but they must be fucking proud.
I hope they are.
Yeah.
I hope they are. Yeah.
Is it not a conversation they've said?
It's not a conversation I bring up.
Is that just sort of your family? You know,
I
not
just
a family
don't like
that
to
talks.
talk about myself.
Okay.
I really don't feel comfortable talking about my achievements, because I do it for me and I do it for Owen. I want him to be proud of me. Yes, I'd like I think Owen's family is proud of me. I don't know. I as I say, it's not a conversation I like to. Hey, are you happy with what I'm doing? Are you proud of me? You know, that's not something I would...
No, and it shouldn't be your job to say that, but I feel like to show to show such courage and strength in such adversity. I feel like that's something that warrants saying to someone you care about, hey, I'm really proud of you.
I know Owen's son, which is Owen's grandson, Josh. I know he's proud of me.
Yeah.
We text quite regularly. They live in Australia, and Josh is one that, I'm proud of. He's done well in rugby. So I think it's through the sport that we connect, and he'll quite often text and say, I'm proud of you, Shaz, So, yeah, I know he is, and if I can make him proud, well, and likewise. So I think they are proud of me. Yeah.
It sounds a bit like my family. We don't necessarily tell each other these things with words, but I feel like sometimes you should.
Exactly. I was always brought up. We were never told we were loved. Yeah. We were never cuddled.
You're just supposed to know it.
We were. That wasn't our family dynamics. It just wasn't in us. So when I went to the farm, it was a totally different ball game. My auntie and uncle would come up and give me a cuddle. That was all new to me. So things changed. The dynamics changed.
Yeah.
But it wasn't that sort of lifestyle.
Yeah. So what's the first event that you do? So you go to Hawke's Bay, have a go at swimming, and you think, right, I'm going to be able to do this. So then,
what did I do?
Is it just like a standard triathlon, or is it what length?
It was just I went from trying to swim to entering the New Zealand para championships or national championships. I went along to that. And there was only about 3 or 4 of us because there's not a lot. And I won that, and that was the start. So I decided, right, here we go. This is how we start earning points and getting into the Paralympic ranking situation. So it started there, and then of course the next thing you had to go to your Oceanias, which was in Australia. Went over there, I got silver. So the progress and the progression was starting to happen, and I was loving it. Shane and Tammy Reid were coaches in fielding. Shane was a Olympic triathlete himself. I don't know if you've heard him. You've only got to Google the Beijing Olympics, and Shane's the first one out of the water, and man, he's a weapon.
Right.
Unfortunately, Shane's passed away. He had brain cancer and passed away, not so long ago. Well, when we say 12 months coming up. But Shane was just one of those humble guys. And Tammy, his wife, she was a national triathlete herself, and she decided to get into coaching. So they came on board and they started coaching me. So that's where we started. Yeah,
so that's the swimming. And then and running. Yeah, so you had some running experience beforehand. Is running just the same? What's the difference?
No, Shane and Tammy got me into a coaching program, and they coached me for swimming, running, and biking.
No, but running as an amputee, is it?
Oh, mate, weird.
Is it?
Weird, seriously.
In terms of what?
Put it this way, the first run I went out with Tammy, I didn't know how I was going to react. I didn't know how Stumpy was going to react. It was friggin' painful because of the jarring.
Oh, okay.
The jarring, it was just horrible. Mm-hmm. But I wasn't going to let Tammy know that. So Tammy would run on this side. She said, I'll run on the right-hand side, Shaz, because I don't want to be anywhere near Stumpy. I said, thanks. We'd be running along down the road. Next minute, the bitch, she'd give me a whack. Tammy's only a little short ass, and there's nothing of a fit little lean, mean machine. And next minute, she'd give me a whack on the shoulder, and I'd say, what's that for? And she'd say, move over. You're veering out.
Oh, because of the imbalance.
Exactly.
Oh, that's interesting, isn't it?
Now, I only had 1.75 kilos taken off, right, when I lost my arm. But that 1.75 kilos, Dom, made a huge difference in my balance. Who would have thought? Well, I wouldn't have thought that.
Yeah, it makes sense though.
Yeah, totally.
So that's the running. What about the cycling? So do you cycle with just one hand on the bar?
So I started off just on a road bike, and then we progressed obviously to a TT bike to start international racing with. Yeah. And that's where obviously, first of all, how was I going to ride a TT bike?
Yeah, with the aero bars.
Yeah. So The limb centre was like phone call to the limb centre. Now, honestly, they must, every time they hear Shaz is making an appointment, they must roll their eyes and think, oh God, what's she coming at us with this time? But they came up with this really rad idea of making a cup for Stumpy to sit in. So I'd sit Stumpy in this, and I'd be down here like this. Okay, so that's how we managed to get around riding on an aero bike, on a TT bike, and that's how we progressed on that. But it was, once again, it was all about balance, because I couldn't put pressure down in that cup because of the pain in the end of my stump. So we had cotton wool, we had lamb's wool, we had foam, we had so much in there to stop any jarring. But yeah, we got around it, and that's how my bike is still set up today. And they're just actually looking, it's because it's all made of carbon at the moment, they're just starting to look at a new way of being able to do a 3D printed one, so it's lighter and a little bit more flex in it for me. So, yeah, they're amazing down there at the Limb Centre in Wellington. Friggin' cool, clever guys.
So when able-bodied people do these these sort of events, there's pain that you have, like there's pain in your lungs, pain in your legs, whatever. What extra pain do you have above and beyond that? Is it just
Stumpy.
like a burning sensation or a throbbing?
She's firing.
Right.
Yeah, when I say he's firing. You know, he's been a typical male, a right prick. You know, just been a pain in the ass, literally. You know, real pain. It's a pain that you can't describe, Dom. Yeah, it's not a pain that I can describe to people because people wouldn't believe it. But you know, I've found ways of just getting out there, doing things. I feel if I'm doing something and keeping active, it's helping with that pain. Even though I'm in pain and I'm causing myself pain, mentally I feel like that, and physically that I'm helping that pain.
Yeah, you're making yourself stronger.
Yeah.
Building resilience.
Yeah.
But how do you how do you block that out? Like, do you have mantras or anything, or do you?
I just, you know, I have got a mantra. Yeah, and my mantra is, I may only have one wing, but I can still fly. And that's what I have to say to myself. Or when I am in this pain, I just say, don't give in. It comes from within. And when I say within, I mean it's what's in your heart. You know, if we really want something, we'll dig deep and we'll do it. You know, we'll find a way. But we have to find that way. Nobody else will do it for us.
So that pain that you're talking about, is that only when you're like competing and pushing it, or is that training as well?
It's everyday pain. I'm in that pain every day, mate.
So when you're
this is the first time, you know, you're a prick because you're making me open up about it, Dom.
Don't want to get the tissues. I can get the tissues.
No, I don't want tissues. That's a sign of weakness.
No, it's not. It's
no, I don't.
not.
No, I don't.
Okay.
Seriously, it's because it's from the heart, you know. I don't talk about the pain. People don't understand or know that I'm in pain because I've learnt to hide that.
But should you?
I don't want people to see me weak.
No.
That's a weakness to me.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be weak, Dom.
Yeah.
I want to be that strong person. You know, don't get me wrong, I have some days at home where I'm weak.
Yeah, when you train, I'm thinking
Just
again.
every day.
I'm probably projecting here, but if I was you and I was on that stationary bike in the garage on fucking Peloton or whatever for 3 hours, and it was hurting every second, I'd probably cry to myself.
I have.
Do you?
I have, Dom.
Yeah.
Yep. You know, I'm set up in the shed. I'm not like some people that, you know, have their bike set up in the lounge. That's, to me, that's my inside of my home is home. My training, if I have to train on outside, is in the shed. I keep those two lives separate. So yeah, you know, there are those sessions where you have to sit on that flaming bike getting numb bum and, you know, every other department, you know, in a uncomfortable state, out in a shed. And yeah, there are times that, yeah, I do cry, and I think it's
Just
more...
because it gets overwhelming, it's all too much, or...
Yeah. Some days I do. I feel like throwing that session in, But I know that at the end of that session, if I didn't do that session, you know what it's like when you're a runner. Some days you don't want to go out for a run. But when you come back, shit, you feel good, right?
Feel way better afterwards.
Yeah, you do. Yeah. And that's how I feel about if I was to cut that session short, I wouldn't feel right. It wouldn't sit good, you know? And I'd probably have to go back out later and do it again.
Because the guilt's eating you up.
Yeah, for sure. And you'd understand that.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. But what I'm dealing with is not this extra level of adversity or pain. You know what I mean? Yeah, there's that term, putting yourself in the pain cave, which anyone that's done any sort of physical activity will understand. But
you know that pain is going to go.
Yeah,
you know that you're going to get that pain.
No, but what I'm saying, Shaz, is your pain doesn't go.
No, it doesn't. No.
It's constantly there, and then when you're doing the exercise, it just gets worse. Yeah. It's rough. It's a rough hand to be dealt.
Sucks, mate. But, you know, I choose to, you know, move forward. Yeah.
That's the only way to go, isn't it?
Oh, for sure. You know, you know, there are some days Owen may have gone out in the afternoon or something and I've finished training and I'll go inside and, I'll have a cry. But it's to myself. I won't show that.
Yeah, why don't you? Out of all the people, you could show it to him, right?
Oh, for sure.
Wouldn't he understand?
Oh, absolutely.
Or you just prefer to deal with the stuff on your own?
I don't like to show that side of me.
Why? Is it an embarrassment thing or a pride thing?
Probably a pride thing, I think. You know, I don't want to be seen as that weak bitch.
Yeah, but I mean, you know what? I don't even know Owen, but I feel like if he ever listens to this, he'll probably hear this and be frustrated that you don't lean on him a little bit more.
Probably, but he knows that, you know. I think he knows that. I know he's there if I need him. He's always there. I think he's learnt now. Just, you know, don't
taken
even,
him 30 years.
Don't even ask her. You know, just roll your eyes and go, oh, here we go again. You know, here she. You know, I think he's sort of got used to me. And I say that in the way that I think he's got used to my ways, my new ways. Yeah.
So like, who do you talk to about this? You're talking to me today about it, but you talk to anyone else about it?
Look, this is the first time I've really opened up, Don. So you've been friggin' privileged, you bugger. You know, I don't open up.
Yeah. But it's good. Sharon.
This is like it. Don't
Sharon
you dare call me
Dagg.
Sharon. As I said, I'm only get called that when my mother tells me off. But, you know, it's not a therapy session, Don, you know. No. But I feel I can open up to you because I feel that you can relate.
Yeah.
You know, you've had some shit times in your life.
But as I said earlier, like from doing this podcast, like almost 2 years now, every single person has or will go through some sort of adversity.
Yeah, for sure.
It's all on a different level, but
and it's how we want to progress with that adversity, or if we want to progress. Some people can, some people can't.
Yeah, I mean, you can easily make yourself a victim, and no one would begrudge you. You've got every right in the world to, but it's like it's not going to help you grow, is it?
It's not going to help me or my journey. Yeah, my journey is about having the best life. And mate, I am.
Yeah.
Even though I have this pain, you know, as I say, it's not about that. It's about my journey.
And how exciting that you're on the I suppose the downward slide of life, on the apex. You know, you're in your second half of your life, but it's also like a new beginning.
Oh, it's the best part of my life.
Yeah.
You know, I would never have achieved or done half of the things I've done, Dom, if I hadn't met Stumpy.
Yeah, you could have though, eh? Why wouldn't you have though?
Oh, mate, I wouldn't have been able to travel the world like I have.
No, but you could have, and it would have been considerably easier, like doing things like triathlon or swimming or coast to coast.
But
like
it wouldn't have been the...
You waited until things got very, very difficult for yourself before you decided to...
but that's what makes the challenge even more rewarding.
Yeah.
You know? And like I say, it's always been about... If one person can see me doing it and it encourages them to get out and do something, I feel like I've achieved what I've set out to do, Dom.
Mm. Oh, I think there's more than one. A lot of people feel like sex is shit.
Well, I don't mean to do that. I really, that's not my intention, Dom. Don't go that far. It's more, I just, if I can encourage others.
Yeah.
Just because we're challenged, there's no reason why we cannot still succeed at things. And it doesn't have to be mad radical things like I've done. Just small steps. Small steps lead to bigger steps, don't they?
Yeah, absolutely. And you coast to coast. We haven't even talked coast to coast. So you've done coast to coast as like part of a team, and next year you're going to have a crack at it as a solo. So you do the 2-day event, all on your own.
Yeah, it'll be the 2-day event.
So coast to coast starts early on a Saturday morning, shortish bike ride, then a massive sort of 30-ish K mountain run.
Yep.
Then you sleep, and then the next day a bike ride again, big kayak and a big bike ride.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Now the run, I've never done the coast to coast, but I have done the run segment of the coast to coast as a guide, and it's a thing called Goats Pass. I'm just wondering how you would do that, because I'm a runner. It's not even really a run you do. Like, you're scrambling over rocks, you're wading through chest deep water.
Yep.
How are you going to do that?
Numerous river crossings. It all depends on the river that day and the river levels.
But I can't imagine how you do that run without two hands.
Oh, look,
a lot of it is scrambling up rocks. And
don't get me wrong, my time was slow, Dom, because I went down there not knowing. I wanted to go into it blind and just experience the unknown. So when I got down there, and started the Goat Pass, it was like, okay. And then there was parts where it was like, holy shit balls, I have to literally stop and watch the able-bodied scramble over and then go, how the frig am I going to do this?
Yeah, did you have someone with you that's like lifting up with a hand or giving you a push on the... No?
Nope, I didn't want any support. The only time I had a support person, that was Brett in the kayak.
So you had a double kayak.
Yes, and that was purely for safety reasons.
Right.
The organisers of Coast to Coast, which I fully understand and respect.
Yeah. Oh, so how does the kayak work in terms of?
So once again, the Limb Centre came up with some neat idea. I met this awesome bird, Alex. When I first went down there and done it, Brett, who was a plumber, the Limb Centre came up with a socket and a hunk of pipe that stuck out like this. Brett, being a plumber, he walked into the shop and said, we need to find something that's going to hook over your paddle. So he found like a hose, half a hose clip like this, steel hose clip. Mm-hmm. He screwed that in there on the end, and then he got 2 $1 rubber O-rings. We put the socket and this clamp on my paddle, and he used these 2 $1 O-rings to hold it on. That's how we got down the Waimakariri River for 70 k's.
So your left stump is attached to the paddle. Yep. What happens if you ass out?
I'm stuck on with my paddle. Stumpy and I like this. Yeah. So Brett done that, and then because I decided I wanted to have a go, I was very, very lucky to have Brett. Honestly, if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have got down there. But I had the cruisy part. I sat in the back of the kayak, just, a lot of time Brett didn't know I was in tears because I was in so much pain with having to put Stumpy and use the force of the paddle. So,
So does every stroke hurt?
So every time, every stroke, I'd sort of think, it's one less stroke you have to do, Shaz. Just keep going. It's one less you got to do. So he didn't know or wasn't aware that a lot of the time I was crying, but of course you'd see the photographer and you'd go, "Yay, hi," as you do. But yeah, so we got down there. But when we got back, and I decided I wanted to have a go at doing the coast completely solo, because I didn't feel like I'd achieved it solo. Because I was in a double kayak. So, yeah, I contacted Coast and they approved me to do it on the condition that I have somebody in another kayak behind me just shadowing me.
Oh, yeah.
Which I fully get and
Totally
understand
understandable,
once again.
for sure.
So I've got Duncan who's coming along, and he's been on pretty much of the kayak journey with me, and he's going to come down and be my support person. So honestly, Dom, will I be able to do the kayak section and finish the event? I really, really don't know.
But giving it a red hot crack, right?
Yep. You don't know unless you try, right?
Yeah.
So Feb, here we come.
How good. And I'm not sure when this podcast is going to come out, but November 18, 2023, you're attempting to kayak the length of Lake Taupo, which is 46 Ks.
Yeah.
So if you can do the coast to coast, will this be easy? No.
So this is totally...
By the way, I say easy, like
you just sit there and call it easy, dude.
You're looking at someone that gets in a kayak for 5 minutes when they're in Fiji and then gets bored shitless. So I'm sorry, 46 Ks is never... How long would that take you?
Well, I just done a sort of a bit of a recce just last week, actually, and went to Taupo, and I done 36 Ks in just under 4 hours, you might as well say. But it's totally different than on the river, because the river, you've still got the river flow, which is...
Yeah, the rapids pushing you along.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I wondered if it was easier than
so,
that.
No, I find this harder because on the lake, because you're literally having to propel yourself along, aren't you?
Right.
So, it's going to be a big ask. But if I decided I wanted to do this to try and raise funds for kidney kids...
Oh, yeah, because you've only got one kidney.
Yeah.
Yeah. When did you discover that?
Oh, a few years back now.
Right.
But,
So you went through you got through all your early years till middle age or whatever, and what does it mean only having one kidney?
Nothing. Yeah. I've got one arm, so I might as well have one kidney, right? Just call me, halfer. But, yeah.
You're like Briscoe's, 50% off.
Exactly. But, it hasn't altered me. But I just sort of think, well, I wanted to give back to somebody or some charity. So it was, obviously, Kidney Kids came to my light, and it was like, well, if I can help do something for these kids, I'd like to. So they've set up a Give a Little page under Limitless Shaz, and we're trying to raise some funds for them. So, hopefully we can. And I'm also going to do that for Coast to Coast as well. So I'm doing it for them. Yeah,
how good. Oh, that's great. It's a hell of a story.
It's a good story.
It is good. It is good, eh?
Yeah, totally. I love my new journey, mate. I really do. I'm in
sort of two minds about it, because it's had you after the accident, had you left the arm, which was useless and ornamental for all intent and purpose. I mean, you wouldn't have had the pain that you're in now?
Possibly not, but we don't know. That pain could have eventuated to a higher intensity as it went on as well, Dom. So I don't know. It's that what if. But why wait for that what if? You don't know. So, like I said, move on. Cut the bugger off. Yeah.
And you did. You definitely did. And when you stand in front of the mirror now, like you like what you see?
Absolutely.
You love the new Shaz, yeah?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm still me.
Yeah.
I haven't changed.
Or even new and improved. I mean, the things you're doing now,
so,
like you never did before.
I'm a better person. I honestly believe I'm a better person.
Yeah. Do you?
Yep. Yeah, I really do. I really do think I'm a better person.
I mean, physically you're fitter, but what do you mean better, though?
Mentally?
Yeah.
I mean, I was never mentally unwell, but I just feel like mentally I've got stronger, more resilient. But I never really thought about that. But it's just, I'm a better me, totally. I feel a better person. I love who I am. I love, Stumpy and we're one. Yeah, we're one.
And I believe you when you say you wouldn't change it.
No, not at all. No, I would never turn the clock back.
How good. If that accident had never happened with the gate and the goats.
Mate, I wouldn't be who I am today.
Yeah, what do you think your life would look like now? Have you ever paused to reflect on that?
Just
going through the motions.
Yeah, I'd just be a normal person like you, How bloody boring, right?
So boring. Well, there's a line from a movie I really like, Shawshank Redemption.
Oh, yes.
The line is like, get busy living or get busy dying.
Yep.
I suppose, like, and I don't say this in a mean way, I'm probably busy dying, and probably 99% of people are. Like, you're just going through
the
life.
motion, yeah.
And I suppose now you're getting busy living.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I am. I'm really living now.
Yeah.
I'm living. I'm loving my living. I'm loving my life. I love who I am. I'm proud of myself. Yeah.
Could you say that beforehand?
Nope. I can sit here now and, yeah, it's the first time I've probably even said that, Dom. You know? Jesus, you're a prick. You're really making me open up, aren't you?
I've done nothing.
You know, I can honestly say I'm proud of myself, and that's the first time I've said that.
Man, that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
And are you enjoying, I mean, I was going to say the level of fame you've got now, but there's not really, there was a story in you've had a story in the Women's Day. I saw there's a great piece that the Attitude TV show did on you.
Yeah.
There's been a couple of podcasts and bits and pieces, but you enjoying this? And you've done some keynote speaking and some public speaking as well.
Yeah. I mean, who would have thought that, right? You know, who the hell would have thought I would be standing up talking to 350 people, looking at all these eyes, looking at you? You know what it's like. It's a whole new world, isn't it? You know, and I would never have had all these opportunities, Dom. Never. So,
but you're the architect of that, though. You created it. I mean, you could have your arm lobbed off and go to yourself, well, this is the end. This is the end of life. I know it. But for you, it was like, and you literally, put this into action. You've made it a new beginning.
Yeah, I have. Yeah.
You've done that.
I wasn't living before, but I am now. Yeah. Like I say, my mantra to myself is, I may only have one wing, but I can still fly. And I think everybody should have a mantra that they should live up to. I'm sure you've got one, have you?
Yeah, there's one. There's one I really like. There's a guy called Cameron Haynes. He's on a lot of podcasts. He's an American bow hunter and an ultra distance runner. I don't know if he came up with this or if it's just a thing, but his slogan is "Nobody cares, work harder." And what it means is, like, I suppose in your situation, you could be like, oh, if Palmerston North Hospital didn't do this, then I would have had my arm. And it's like, no one cares. Just work harder. Yep. And I feel like you epitomise that.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks.
You can sit around bitching about it, or you can just get on the bike and suck it up.
Get on with life. You know? We only have one chance, right? Make the flaming most of it, honestly.
Well, there's another quote I really like. It's you have two lives, and the second life only begins when you realise you actually only have one.
Yep.
Yeah, and I'm so pleased that you're making the most of it.
Yeah, I honestly, mate, wouldn't turn the clock back.
Yeah, and thank you so much for sharing your story.
Not a problem at all. You made me open up, so you did, Dom. So thanks.
Well, I appreciate it. Now I'm going to take you back to the airport, and let's hope the plane has two wings. What's your thing about wings and flying?
What's that?
What's your quote about wings and flying? I mainly have one wing.
I might only have one wing, but I can still fly.
Well, let's hope the plane has two bloody wings.
I'm sure it will do.
Sharon Dagg from Fielding, Limitless. All the best for the future, coast to coast,
Thanks.
Lake Taupo, and whatever challenges you cook up next. And I'm sure there's going to be many.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks so much, Dom.